and after that bishop to b4 by Tal, pinning the knight, and here we have the Nimzo Indian defense. Okay, so Spassky mirrors with bishop to g5, pinning the knight on f6, and guys, this is a very natural developing move, simply fighting for the central control. And guys, this is known as the Leningrad variation. Okay, so now Tal immediately attacks the bishop with the move h6, bishop to h4, and now Tal strikes back with c5. He is directly challenging the d4 pawn, and guys, this setup is known as ever-back gambit. Okay, so Spassky continues with d5. He simply ignores the c5 pawn, grabbing more space, and guys, now Tal goes for b5. He completely sacrifices a pawn to break white's control on the queen side. Okay, so now d5, and you can see what he is preparing for. So to stop this, push e3, and in this position finally Tal decides to castle. Okay, so now knight to f3, Spassky develops his other knight, queen to a5, putting immense pressure on the pinned knight on c3, and in the next move black is going to increase it even more with knight to e4. So to stop this, Spassky captures the knight on f6 by bishop takes f6, rook takes f6, and after that queen to d2, which is obviously forced. And after that Tal goes for a6 so that he can kick away that annoying b5 pawn, which is stopping the development of this knight on knight to d6. Okay, so now for white, it's better to just develop the bishop to e2 and then to consider castling, getting the king safe. But Spassky decides to capture the pawn on a6 with the b pawn, which is a mistake because it helps Tal to develop his knight, which he actually does. And now you can see he is preparing for this deadly d4 push. Bishop to e2, and you can see he is preparing to castle. Tal goes according to his plan. He pushes d4, he targets the e3 pawn and creates massive threats. And we all know that e takes d4 is forced. And guys, you know what Tal played in this position? I don't think so that you can find this, because in this position he sacrificed the rook by rook takes f3. The idea is to remove the main defender of the center, which was this knight on f3, so that he can crush the white queen side. And how Tal done this? I mean, after bishop takes f3, c takes d4, and just look at this position. In the next move, black is going to capture this knight on d3, and since this king is in the danger, so finally Spassky decides to castle. Rook at a goes to c1. Spassky targets the rook, and guys, now how can black continue this game? Here the best move for black is to consider the move which is bishop to c3. The idea is, after let's suppose white brings his another rook to d1, and now he is eyeing on the d8 square, but the problem is that it's already defended by the queen. So to do that, black has to double the rook, which is now not possible because of this bishop on c3. So that's the main idea. The main idea is to stop the rook from doubling. Okay, so in the actual game, after rook at a goes to c1, so here Tal plays bishop to c5, which is an inaccuracy because now white can bring the rook on the d file with the same idea which I mentioned earlier. But instead, Spassky goes for rook to c2. He tries to double the rook, but that's a mistake because even by doubling, where is white going to attack? This bishop on c5 was already defended by the rook and the queen. So basically, that's a wastage of move. And Tal instantly punishes him with queen to a4, attacking the rook. And now basically Spassky defends with queen to b3, and now he is asking for a queen trade. But Tal says, I don't think so, and he slides the queen on f4. And since there is too much tension on the queen side, so white can consider pushing the king side pawns so that he can get some counterplay in the endgame. But instead he goes for queen to g3, asking for queen exchange. But guys, that's a mistake because he also leaves the defense of the rook on c2. And now Tal takes advantage of this with queen to f5, attacking the rook again. And after Spassky defends with the rook, bishop to b7, a brilliant developing move. And guys, just look at this diagonal. This bishop is aiming right at the white king, and since the pressure on the king is going to increase with time, so that's why Spassky goes for queen to f3. He desperately wants to exchange the queen. Okay, so queen to g5. As I said, here Spassky must consider the move pushing the king side pawns, but instead he goes for queen to b3, attacking this bishop on b7. And guys, that's a mistake. But why this is a mistake? Can you spot the move? And guys, if you find the move rook to c7, then damn, you are doing great, defending the bishop as well as opening the diagonal for this light square bishop as well as threatening mate on g2. So to defend this, if Spassky plays, here Spassky plays g3, and guys, hold on. At the end, I will also show you that why Spassky doesn't go for queen to g3 to defend the mate. Okay, so for now, in this position, Tal goes for this crazy move. Can you guess the move? Pause the video and try to find it by yourself. And if you find the move, bishop takes f2 check, then congratulations, you are a genius. And basically, he sacrifices the bishop to rip open the white king. The idea is, after king takes f2, and guys, in this position, Tal goes for this another crazy move, bishop to b7. And basically, he wants to deflect the rook so that he can, mate white on g2. Okay, so h4. Obviously, Spassky doesn't go for this, but queen to h1 check by Tal. And guys, in this position, the final move by Tal is queen to e4 check. And in this position, Spassky resigned. Because let's suppose if this, king goes to d1, rook to d7 check, rook to d2, queen to h1 check, king to c2, rook to c7 check. And here the best move is to defend with the queen, because if not, then queen takes c1, and that's a mate. Okay guys, so finally I will tell you that why after the move. Okay, so for that, let me go back. Yep. So basically, why the move? So basically, why in this position after rook to c7? Yeah. So why after this move, the move queen to g3 is not considered by Spassky? And guys, the main idea is, let's suppose if white goes for queen to g3, which also defends the mate on g2, as well as white is also asking for queen exchange. So how can black now continue the game? Because it seems like now black cannot sacrifice on f2 due to this queen on g3, which is also defending f2. And guys, what if I tell you that in this position, the best move for white is to still go for the move bishop takes f2 check, which is absolutely crazy. Okay, so in this position, one thing is clear, that white cannot recapture the bishop with the rook due to the threat of rook takes c1 check. So now there are only two possibilities left for white to capture this bishop, either with the queen or with the king. So let's consider both possibilities one by one. So let's suppose if white decides to capture with the queen with queen takes f2, just pause the video and guess the next move which black can play in this position. And guys, I think most of you got the sequence, which is queen takes c1 check. The idea is after rook takes c1, rook takes c1 check, and since this king is in back rank, so that's why the only move is queen to f1, and after that rook takes f1 check, king takes f1, and you can see black is a piece up. So let me go back to the move. Yes, so here the another possibility which black can consider is white can consider is king takes f2, which seems like the best move. But guys, what about rook takes c2 check? The idea is after takes queen to f5 check, attacking the king and the rook, and after king to g1, queen takes c2. And if now white tries to give a check from b8 square and hoping that now he can grab this bishop, but guys, no, because of queen to c8, and you can see everything is well protected. What a game, guys. I mean, just imagine this level of tactical brilliance by Tal. That's absolutely brilliant. Like this video and I will see you in the next one. This is your host Bison signing off. Bye bye.